biography in 1975, and she dedicated it to love and courage. Surely these are the hallmarks of this great artist.
The Supra charged to an 18-game winning streak, made the playoffs for the very first time in team history. However, there's been a very big change this season. Coach of the year, Roy Wiggamanson, has left for the Toronto Blizzard. And now, it is the familiar face of Eddie Fermanni who is in charge. Fermanni won 3 North American Soccer League championships during the 70s. Question is, can he recapture the magic now back in Montreal? 1 year ago, Kitchener was an expansion success. John McGrain's side was the first CSL expansion team to make the playoffs. And the spirit didn't stop there. David has beaten Goliath here in Kitchener. This year, the Spirit have become the Kickers, and Olympic hopeful Scott Munson leads the charge up front. And the pressure of another playoff performance rests squarely on the shoulders of player-coach Drew Ferguson. McGill University in downtown Montreal. That's where we are for this Molson CSL Match of the Day. And it's brought to you by Molson Canadian, what beer is all about. By Mita. All we make are great copiers. And by Chrysler. All you have to do is drive one. It is a cool, it is blustery, and there is the threat of rain in the forecast before this 2 hours is done here at Centre Claude Robillard. Hello again, everybody, and welcome to Montreal, the CSL Match of the Day here on TSN. As we've told you, both these teams have gone through off-season coaching changes. Still very early in this 1991 Canadian Soccer League season. As we take a look at the standings, both these teams have played 3 games. Montreal, 1 win, 2 losses for 3 points. Kitchener, 2 losses and a single tie against North York for 1 point. A big reason for the success of the Montreal Supra a year ago was goaltender Pat Harrington. A league record 14 shutouts, a league record .43 goals against, and he picked up the MVP award as the CSL Most Valuable Player. Pat Harrington is back again this year, and he's standing by with Graham Leggett.
Pat, the obvious question, how did the team react to the loss of Roy Wiggamanson?
We sort of handled that with a bit of shock because it came as a big surprise to all the players that Roy left us and went to Toronto, which was the other big surprise. You know, we thought we had a 3-year contract with him, and the news after a good year last year, you know, we thought he'd be with us again this year. So it sort of left us a bit confused and the team in a bit of a void.
Well, you've certainly got one of the most experienced coaches in the game in Eddie Fermanni. How are you reacting to him, and how is he reacting to being back here in Montreal?
He loves Montreal. I mean, I think that was one of the main reasons he came back, is because he likes the city so much. He gets on great with all the boys, and you know, I think he's a great coach. I think it was just a stroke of luck that we got him after his little stint in Kuwait, and you know, we're lucky to have him.
Pat, we wish you lots of luck. It would be nice to have 2 consecutive MVPs. Have a good season.
Thanks, man.
Back to you, Vic.
Graham, last season, the Montreal Supra gave up just 12 goals the entire CSL season. They were ranked #1 defensively. However, this year, the Supra have already given up 4 goals in just 3 games. As for the Kitchener Kickers, they are relying heavily up front on an Olympian by the name of Scott Munson. In a qualifying game earlier this year against Trinidad Tobago, Munson scores a beautiful goal on the header. He's already scored 4 goals in Olympic qualifying against Trinidad Tobago. And he knows the pressure is on with the Kickers.
I think the media's put some pressure on me, and I've put some pressure on myself to help lead this team. I think that I'm expected to come here and score goals, and I'm just going to try to contribute in any way I can. If that means scoring goals, so be it.
So it's just the 4th game of the season for both these teams, the Supra and the Kickers, but even so, early in this year, you want to establish some kind of reputation. So far, neither of these 2 teams, the Supra or the Kickers, have been able to do that. When we come back to Centre Claude Robillard, it is the Molson CSL Match of the Day here on TSN. Welcome back to Centre Claude Robillard in Montreal, Quebec for this Molson CSL match of the day here on TSN. And it is cool. Boy, what a difference. A week ago, we were sweating it out in Toronto, and look at this. 9 Celsius, that's about 48 Fahrenheit, and it is gusty winds, and there is the threat of rain. Graham, take us through the starting 11 for the Kitchener Kickers and player coach Drew Ferguson.
Well, it's Scott McQuillan in goal. The back four is Shadavati, Ferguson, Davis, and Carter. The midfield four, Gilfillan, Tilley, Mackey, and Bailey. And up front, Scott Munson and Brett Pence.
The starting keeper for the Kickers, 21-year-old Scott McQuillan, at 6'7", definitely the tallest man on this side, probably in the CSL. Member of Canada's Olympic qualifying team last year, played 10 games, a 1.60 goals against average, and 3 shutouts. Scott McQuillan in his 4th CSL season. Now the starting 11 for the Montreal Supra and Eddie Firmani.
Well, Eddie Firmani's going with a 4-4-2 as well. Pat Harrington in goal. The back four, Dollescat, Diot, Albanis, and Ritchie. The midfield four, Sahrani, Koutsoukas, DeSantis, and Hildersley. Up front, Grant Needham and Frank Aliaga.
He was the 1990 CSL MVP, the first team All-Star, 26-year-old Pat Harrington. 23 games, 14 shutouts, a measly .43 goals against average, and he is in net for the Montreal Supra. The referee is Mr. Luis Pulgar. The linesman working the near side is Eric Roy. The far side, Johnny Jerome. And the 4th official is Mr. Amin Deldar. The Montreal Supra in their home whites with blue shorts and white stockings. The visiting Kitchener Kickers in green and gold. As quickly it is Darren Tilley through the middle. Dollescat is there to meet him, and Tasso Koutsoukas will play it back for Harrington. Both these teams struggle offensively. They both admit their biggest weakness is probably up front. They need some people that can finish.
Well, you just need to look at the records. In 3 games, the Montreal Supra have only scored 2 goals. And in 3 games, the Kitchener Kickers have scored 1. You can't win too many games on that goal-scoring ability.
DeSantis at midfield for Montreal. Peter Mackey was right there. Now they'll play it forward. This is Scott Munson. Munson brought down by Patrick Diot, the starting center back for the Supra. There he is, Eddie Firmani. Says you should remember playing against him.
Charlton Athletic, good player, wealth of experience all over the world. Drew Ferguson got most of his experience in North America, Edmonton Drillers. He played for me when I was out there, knows the game well, loves the game, and is really looking forward to having the opportunity to coach in the CSL.
And what a job he does. Player, coach, and general manager of these Kitchener Kickers. To midfield, and they'll flick it back over Ferguson, and then Ian Carter is there, the starting left fullback, to play it to Scott McQuillan. Carter for Peter Gilfillan. Through the middle, Diot was there to play it back upfield. And then too far for the starting central forwards of Needham and Aliaga. Woody Bailey. Ferguson. For Brad Chiravati. Can't get away for Ronnie Hildersley, and it'll be the free kick. Hildersley is a Scot. The import played 3rd division in England before joining this Supra side. Pass in for Aliaga, doesn't get there. Now Ferguson. As the wind is swirling here at Centre Claude Robillard, sometimes it feels like it's coming from the south, but now it seems to have shifted around to be coming in from the north and directly into the face of the Kickers here in this first half. Hindersley gives it away. Gilfillan for Tilley. Gilfillan. And then it is Hildersley who is called on the foul as he barged into the back of Gilfil. Quickly taken by Ferguson. Played forward, Sakhrani couldn't control. This is Carter. Carter will skip one through, and Harrington is there for Montreal. Jason Devos with the header upfield. Gildersley for Montreal. Into touch, and it'll be a throw-in for Montreal. Darren Tilley, the 24-year-old from Bristol, England, played with Kitchener City, and he apprenticed with the Bristol Rovers. Tasso Kutsukos couldn't get away. Supra will get the free kick, as we've seen a lot of Mr. Pulgar already. At least we've heard his whistle. Ferguson over to pick up the loose ball, back up field, looking for Munson.
Scott Munson went ahead that ball, then he decided to chest it, finished up hitting it with his elbow, and got a free kick against him, blown up quickly by Louis Pulgar.
He has looked very good in the games that, well, the game we televised, certainly against Trinidad and Tobago. All three central forwards for the Canadian team looked good, the under-23 side, and he played well in the return match in Port of Spain.
Of course, his colleague in that side is Grant Needham, who is playing up front for the Montreal Supra. It'll be interesting to see which of these two strikers comes out on top this evening.
Played through the middle. This is DeSantis. Oh, he just couldn't tee it up, and it was no problem at all for Scott McQuillan. To the near side, Ian Carter. 20-year-old through the middle. Looking for Brent Pence. Carter will play it back. Jason Davis. Brad Charavati has Munson on the right wing. Munson plays it back. It'll go into touch, and they'll go quickly as a kicker throw-in. Now Munson again. Tilley. Carter will try to control here on the near side, and the kickers look like they're having some problems with the wind, Graham.
At least they're keeping the ball, but they're really not making any progress. And every time they play that long ball through the middle, it's Scott Munson against 3-4 white shirts, and he really is all on his own up there.
Munson turns and cuts it through with his left foot. Woody Bailey has moved up. Can he cut it back in front? And then it's headed away
by Marco Rizzi, doing well to cover at the near post. Little fortunate that that didn't go on his own goal. Pretty close, too close for Pat Harrington's comfort, that's for sure.
Interesting, though, you're right. The Supra do appear to be throwing men at Scott Munson, and you might be guilty of watching him a little bit too much and leaving somebody else open. Harrington sets himself up. Tasso Kutsukos has moved to cover the near post for Montreal. Brent Pence is in there as well.
Come on, Frankie, get there.
Munson just at the top of the box. Cleared in. Oh, Munson went up, and it was Harrington just picking it off the top of Scott Munson's head. Abdel Sakhrani to the left wing for Ronnie Hildersley. Plays it through, looking for Grant Needham. Didn't get there. Ferguson. Tilley gives it away on that right wing. Supra throw in. Quickly taken. And played back. Abdel Sakhrani is a 28-year-old Moroccan by birth, and he comes out of the Quebec National Soccer League. Makes his rookie season, or his first appearance as a starter here in the CSL. Eddie Fermani wanted to make a point. He said, this is not to be an international team. This isn't the Cosmos days. This is a local side, and he's picked up Sakhrani as one of his local players. Handling the Kitchener bench while Drew Ferguson is on the field is assistant coach Barry McLean. First opportunity now for the Supra as they'll set it up.
Let's see if Ronnie Hildesley will try to bend one with that left foot of his.
Aliaga is there. So is Kutsukos. Nick DeSantis is directly over the ball. Aliaga, Hildersley can't get it through the wall. DeSantis clears it up onside, but too far as it seemed to blow away from Sahrani. We've played just over 8 minutes of this first half. It is still scoreless. The CSL Molson match of the day. Canadian CSL match of the day here on TSN. Munson at midfield for Ferguson. Grant Needham up to mark him, and they'll go back to McQuillan and try to work it out the right side now through Brad Charavati. 20-year-old rookie up the right wing, Woody Bailey. Hildersley is there, and it'll go into touch and go as a Supra throw-in. Bailey wins the ball. This is Ferguson. Carter is open on the left side, and that's where the ball goes. For Gilfillan. Duliscat moves up to challenge. Munson at midfield. Goes wide right for Bailey. Pence makes the run through the middle. Bailey. Munson has moved up. So has Tilley. And the cross is nowhere close. The 27-year-old Woody Bailey in his third CSL season. Last year played 22 games for Kitchener, scored 3 goals. Has his degree in criminology. Oh, offside as Munson had slipped in behind Rudy Duliscat, but he was offside by more than a few steps. The veteran Nick Albanis will put it into play. Aliaga looks, lays it back. DeSantis. This is Tasso Kutsukos. Back for DeSantis. Needham. Left foot. Tries to skip it through and does. And McQuillan is there. Ferguson for Charavati. Too far for Munson. But Pence is there on the right wing. Duliscat has moved over to mark here. Duliscat, Munson. Munson wins the ball neatly. Mackey can't get touch. It'll skip away from Gilfillan and then played forward by Jason Davos. Nick Albanis clears. Kutsukos. And the foul is called on Brent Pence on Tasso Kutsukos. The 23-year-old rookie played with power on Vancouver Island last year. He was the Vancouver Island Soccer's MVP. Brent Pence. Ian Carter to take the throw in for Kitchener. For Munson. Little give and go with Gilfillan. Doesn't go. Aliaga has Needham. Aliaga makes the run through the middle. Aliaga. Needham will try it from the top of the box. And it's not even close. Oh, Aliaga seemed to make a nice little run, and I think he wanted it back.
I think he should have got it back. Grant Needham decided to go on his own and really didn't take full advantage of the opportunity. Made space nicely, but when he went to hit it, the ball just bobbled a little bit way high over the bar, and Scott McQuillan, no danger. Even going backwards, no danger.
Gilfillan, near sideline, loses it. Rudy Duliscat The 23-year-old scored 3 goals last year from his fullback spot. Very fast. For the veteran Albanis, Marco Rizzi to midfield. Looking for Hildersley up front. And now he has to hustle back, and an offside as again Munson, I think, caught by the far side linesman Johnny Giroux. Tasso Koutsoukas. Boy, you remember him a year ago, Koutsoukas, when we were here? He was so banged up, played with a separated shoulder, had all kinds of problems. Through midfield now for the Kitchener Kickers. Still scoreless, and we've played 14 minutes of this first half, and then the ball too far for Gilfillan as Peter Mackey pushed it. The captain of the Kickers is Peter Gilfillan, the 25-year-old. Has 15 caps playing for Canada internationally. Dahrani can't get away. Koutsoukas battles with Mackey at midfield. Dolascat, little give and go. Can't get through Gilfillan. Now he tries to flick it over Albanis. Looking again for Munson. And as you say, they're trying the long passes. Maybe they'll have to work it through a little bit.
Well, Scott Munson's made some great runs trying to pull the defenders wide, but it really is 1 against 4 at the back, and I'm really surprised that the Montreal Supra are playing so many players back. After all, it's a home game for them. They should take the initiative and try and get that first goal. Every time they lose the ball, 7, 8, 9 shots are back.
Munson sliding, studs up into Harrington, but he's saying, hey, the ball was loose.
Ball was loose. Fair challenge. He's entitled to go for it. Even Eddie Onmani would say he's entitled to go for it. This ball is chipped into the near post. Harrington starts to come. Munson gets there. Ball was never in Harrington's grasp. He's entitled to go for it. Referee blew the free kick. He's the boss.
Carter with the throw in for Kitchener. Pence. Tilly. Cheravati moves up. Right fullback. Plays it through the middle. Again, looking for Munson. Aliaga. Hildersley. Marco Rizzi. DeSantis. Comes to the left wing for Safrani, who is wide open. Safrani. Needham, a little give and go. Safrani. Hildersley. Aliaga in the middle. Needham has moved up. So has Rizzi. Dolascat comes up from support. Dolascat gets it across. DeSantis is there. Oh, what a save by Scott McQuillan.
Beautiful cross by Rudy Dolascat to the far post, and Marco Rizzi was all alone. Controlled it beautifully, but Scott McQuillan cut down the angle. Watch Rudy Dolascat hit this right to the far post. Marco Rizzi controls it beautifully for a fullback, tees it up. Good goalkeeping by Scott McQuillan to push it behind for a corner kick.
And off the corner, Safrani puts it 20 feet over the bar and gives away the keeper's ball. 6'7". He is the backup keeper with the Canadian Olympic team. He and Paolo Ceccarelli sharing the duties.
And there's a mixture. Scott McQuillan about, as you say, 6'6", and Paolo Ceccarelli about 5'9". But Ceccarelli really the goalkeeper in possession of the position right now. Brilliant reflexes, Ceccarelli.
Supra give it away midfield. Gilfillan, Carter, and into touch. Ferguson.
And look how many white shirts are back in the one half of the field, playing at home against a team like the Kitchener Kickers, who have only got 1 point from 3 games. This hardly seems to be the right strategy.
9 men behind the halfway line, only the 2 front runners, Aliaga and Needham up front. This is Hildersley, Aliaga, Needham making the run through the middle of the box. It's over, far post. Oh, and it was headed down, and McQuillan got over to cover the post. Oh, and McQuillan now very slow, as it looked as if he may have made contact with the post.
Yeah, I think he landed awkwardly. A good run by Ronnie Hildersley. Nice cross. Grant Needham had taken up position at the far post, gets it on target, but once again the big goalkeeper has cut down the angle. This really was a good first-time cross. Good header to head it down on target. Goalkeeper saved it. 2 good saves by Scott McQuillan, but that's what he's there for. Shouldn't really let him in at the near post. Goalkeeper's nightmare is a near post goal.
Sachrani to take the corner through the middle, and coming across was Marco Rizzi to head it by the far post. A reminder to stay with us right after the game for the TSN Turning Point, brought to you by Apple Auto Glass. This first half, and we are still scoreless. The Montreal Supra and the Kitchener Kickers, the Molson Canadian CSL match of the day. Best opportunities, though, in the last 10 minutes belonging to the Montreal Supra. And let's remember, as you suggest, they should take the offense. They're at home, number 1, but a win this year in the CSL worth 3 points. So you shouldn't really be playing for the ties anymore.
I don't think they're playing for a tie. I think they respect this
Munson,
gentleman here.
left wing, couldn't get it across. Munson, oh! The sliding left foot, and he nearly snuck it in the far post.
Didn't get all of it by mishitting it. He caught Pat Harrington off balance, and he hit the scramble. Sort of mishits it, but Harrington had gone to cover the near post, couldn't recover in time, and is delighted to see it go inches wide. I think that Montreal Supra have got a great deal of respect for number 9 Scott Munson, the striker for the Kitchener Kickers.
Ferguson for Munson, gives it away. Safrane now for the Supra. Needham, he's got it right wing. Aliaga darts for the top of the box. Hildersley is in there as well. Hildersley over the head of Aliaga. Cheravati can't clear. DeSantis, Safrane, Aliaga, little give and go. Aliaga chips it forward onside. Needham gets it across, flicked off of Carter. Bailey then heads it back the other way, and the foul is called on the Montreal Supra as Woody Bailey has put on the back of his pants. Ferguson will put the ball back into play for Kitchener. Across midfield, looking for Pence, and too far. DeSantis, Needham, oh, lovely touch. Little give and go with Aliaga. Needham, oh, what a save by Scott McQuillan.
Beautifully hit by young Grant Needham. Give him credit for that, but Scott McQuillan had come off his line perfectly. Watch this little 1-2. Sits up nicely for Grant Needham. Now watch him hit it. There's the goalkeeper right out on the 5-yard line. Made it look a lot worse than it was. That was a pretty easy save, but he made it look rather spectacular. Well hit. Young Grant Needham hit that ball beautifully.
Bailey for Cheravati. As the game has belonged to the Supra in the last 10 minutes. This is much the kind of game the Supra had last Sunday against the Hamilton Steelers. They had the chances in the first 30 minutes, couldn't finish, and wound up losing 2-0. As Justin Fashanu and Thompson Usian scored for Hamilton. And how many times have you heard a coach saying, you know, we had the chances, if only we could have scored.
But.
Yeah.
That famous 3-letter word, but.
Scotty Munson out of Simon Fraser University. Look at that, 7 goals with Canada's Olympic team. They have 2 wins and 1 tie so far in their group with Trinidad, Tobago and El Salvador. Gilfillan nods it back. Carter, Munson. Doliscat is there to mark him step for step. Munson gets it through. Carter, and it's pushed over the end line by Nick DeSantis, giving away the corner to the kickers. Darren Tilley has moved up for the kickers. He'll stand at the top of the 6-yard area. Pence is there, so is Munson. They'll go across the top of the area this time.
Hit it.
Carter, left foot, he hit it. And he missed. We're still scoreless 25 minutes after the start of this Molson CSL match of the day here on TSN. The Montreal Supra, the Kitchener Kickers, both in their 4th games of this CSL season. Both of them looking to establish their goal scoring, which they've had problems doing so far this year. But for Montreal, Graham, that's not a surprise. Last year, they were 1st in defense, but they were 6th in offense with only 30 goals. And yet they still finished a respectable 2nd in the Eastern Division. In fact, lost it on the last weekend to the Toronto Blizzard. But 30 goals, I don't think this year will get them very far. The league is too tough, and there are too many teams with a lot of goal scoring. To midfield, Aliaga nods it forward for Needham. McQuillan will start it through the right side with Cheravati. Looking for Pence. Tilley for Munson. And the foul is on Doliscat, who seems to be playing sweeper. Or more rightly, wherever Munson goes, so does Doliscat.
Wherever Munson goes, 4 white shirts go.
Gilfillan cuts it across. Albanis Diot clears it away. Ferguson now makes the run from his center back spot. Ferguson now getting trapped and has to hustle back if the Supra can break out quickly. Peter Mackey.
Drew's still back there. He hasn't got over the halfway line yet. I think that was a bit ambitious for him to push it 20 yards past the fullback and hope to get to it first. Offside.
I like this guy, Rudy Doliscat, the 23-year-old. Played for Keene State in New Hampshire. Back in 1984, 1985, he was a Quebec Major Soccer League select. Very fast, tough player. And quite obviously well respected by Fermani if he's given the job of marking Munson.
Well, maybe that's the reason why he's not overlapping as much as he did last season. He was brilliant. He played almost like a right winger from his right back position. And maybe he's been told by Fermani, look, your job this evening is to contain, not to attack, because they really are pulling so many white shirts back, and there's only 2 front runners, Scott Munson and Brett Pence, for the Kitchener Kickers.
32-year-old Tasso Kutsukos. We mentioned him last year or earlier because last time we saw him, he was playing with a separated shoulder. I think the game was against Toronto. And then now over the winter, he suffered a bad case of asthma. And now trying to work his way back into the lineup and still not completely game fit. Aliaga tries to skip it through and couldn't. Flick forward by Munson for Pence, and then they play it behind Tilley. Oh, and the foul is called on Patrick Diot, and so it'll be a free kick now for the Kickers. Ferguson. I think he might sneak one there by Aliaga, but then he waited. Carter plays it forward, and now it's the kickers who are guilty of the foul. It is Darren Tilley. Doliskat through the middle. Sahran nods it forward. Kutsukas. Sahrane goes across the midfield, but there was nobody there. Now it skips through. This is Gilfillan. Munson makes the run, and then Doliskat comes over, and he may have been spiked on the way by Gilfillan. And Doliskat now trying to walk it off.
Both players go very strongly for this ball. You can see that Gilfillan just leaves his knee and catches Doliskat on the thigh, and Rudy will not like that at all. Limping it off right now as the Kitchener kickers get a corner kick.
30 minutes. Still no score. They'll play it back to Gilfillan, top of the area, cuts it through. Doliskat is there. Up goes Harrington. Oh my, what a play by Harrington as he withstood the challenge as Tilley came through, and Pence was there as well. And all he could do was wait for it, and he knew that the two players were coming.
This is an awkward ball for Pat Harrington to take. Watches number 10, Brett Pence, and Darren Tilley both challenge. Keeper holds on to it, doesn't cross the line. Free kick against the forwards anyway. And besides that, the linesman's flag was up.
Hildersley, right wing, gets it across. Carter clears it. Doliskat will chip it right back, and he finds Hildersley onside. Aliaga, Needham, Sahrani are all in the middle. Needham at the far post, that's where it goes. And the offside flag, or did the ball actually go behind the end line and then come back out because of the wind?
Ball went over the line as it curved back, an outswinger with his left foot by Hildersley. Linesman put his flag up for the goal kick. Making some good runs on the left, Ronnie Hildersley, nice left foot.
Aliaga, oh, he thought he had a space, but he put it off Jason Davis. Kutsukos onside. Sahrani, if he can get it across, he does pass the far post. Now Hildersley, can he keep it in play? He does. Hildersley. And he'll win the corner kick. Hildersley will take it. Sahrani. Hildersley, near post. And they'll do it again. Ronnie Hildersley to take the corner. Ferguson gets up to head it away for Kitchener. Kutsukos. Patrick Diot. Aliaga. Sahrani, can he get there? No, it'll skip away and go too far. He's been in the middle of a lot of it. Abdel Sahrani, the Supra rookie. Carter. Midfield, Aliaga. Kutsukos has Needham. Needham one-times it, and McQuillan is there. You know, somebody that the Supra are missing tonight is Alex Bunbury. Bunbury loaned to the Supra this year by the Hamilton Steelers.
Would have been nice to see Grant Needham, Frank Aliaga, and Alex Bunbury as three front runners for Montreal Supra. I'm sure Eddie Formani would have lined up that way and played three in midfield. But Alex injured, so we're going to have to wait another time to see him. I always like to see Bunbury play. You get 100%, lots of effort, lots of arguments, and usually a goal or two.
Bunbury out with a bad ankle. Sahrani. Kutsukos controls for Montreal. Doliskat. Now they'll go all the way over to the left wing for Ritzy. Dion. Aliaga. And cleared away. And offside as once again Scott Munson breaking just a little too quickly.
The experience of Nick Albanis just moving up in time to get Scott Munson offside, but that was touch and go.
Woody Bailey. Peter Mackey plays it forward for Gilfillan. And there it is. The captain, the veteran Albanis, is there for Koutsoukas. Albanis. For Bailey on the right wing, but Marco Rizzi will get back, and it'll go as keeper's ball. Nick Albanis wearing the captain's band at 29. Oh, he's just been here forever. Nick Albanis played in the NASL with both Montreal and Toronto, and we keep saying, when are you going to quit? He seems to always battle through the injuries, and he's just a great kind of player to have around.
Nice to have back in that centre-back position, because he reads the game well. He can talk to the younger players around him. As you saw there, doesn't use it too well, but then he doesn't have to.
Ferguson. Gilfillan, oh, he can't control. Skips into touch. Koutsoukas will take the throw in. Still scoreless, this Molson CSL match of the day from Centre Claude Robillard in Montreal. Munson near sideline and out of play as Peter Mackey couldn't take it over his shoulder. Dolascat asking the referee, is this the spot? And this is where he'll take it from. Referees last year, Graham, you remember, were told all across by FIFA directive to make sure that all the throw-ins were taken from the exact spot. No cheating. Through the middle for Needham, and it again just curved away from him at the last moment, and McQuillan will pick it up.
Well, the reason that FIFA emphasized that rule, it's always been the rule, you're supposed to take it from that spot, is that when a team's leading 1-0 and there's about a minute, 2 minutes to go, they'd get a throw in, and they could work that touchline till time ran out, because they'd go forward, the referee would put them back, they'd go forward again, they'd put them back. Now the referee's got the power to give the throw in to the other side, and I think it's a great rule.
Needham heads it into the middle, and I think he was hoping that Aliaga was there, but no one was there except the kickers. And now again it's Munson breaking too quickly.
Well, I have to question that decision, because the new FIFA rule is that the player level is onside, and I don't think that Scott Munson was ahead of Dolascat there, not by any means. Not when the ball was played, and that's the important factor.
And it's the linesman on the far side, Mr. Johnny Jerome, who's called a few back now.
Called a few very close ones.
DeSantis for Hildersley. It'll be Rizzi to take the throw in for Montreal. Woody Bailey.
Ronnie Hildersley, the outside left for the Montreal Supra, reminds me a lot of John Coyle, who played, of course, for the North York Rockets and is due back to play for the Hamilton Steelers pretty soon. Great left foot, very good at coming back and filling that hole just midway between midfield and forward.
Safrani can't get up. Gilfillan does. It'll go again as a Supra throw-in. Safrani. Aliaga fights for position. And then Jason Devos gets up and heads it away. It'll go as a corner. Corner kick coming up for the... We've got about 5 minutes to go in this first half. We're still scoreless. The Supra and the Kickers. The Molson CSL match of the day here on TSN. Kutsukos at midfield. Hildersley. Needham makes the run through the middle. Aliaga is up as well. Safrani is alone on the right. Hildersley gets it across, and out comes McQuillan. Boy, if he could have gotten that ball to curve a little bit more away from McQuillan, Aliaga was right there.
He did well to get it over. That's very tough in full flight to hit that ball square across. Wasn't a bad cross, but when your goalkeeper against you is 6'7" tall, it makes any cross look pretty average.
Ritzy. Woody Bailey is up, and it'll go as a kicker throw-in. Ronnie Hildersley from Wigan. Well, he played in Wigan, English 3rd Division, native of Scotland. Oh, they can't clear it away. Dolascat as defensively now. Montreal looking to get a little crossed up. Carter working against Safrani, and will go as keeper's ball. Dolascat tried the scissor clearance and couldn't. Ian Carter. Eddie Fermani. Tampa Bay, the New York Cosmos, the Montreal Manique. 3 North American Soccer League championships. Carter heads it at midfield. Now Munson trying to take control, but in between 2 white shirts. Oh, and it's Munson who is called for the foul on Nick DeSantis. And Munson might be saying, "You've got to be kidding." Nick Albanus. Right down the center of the field for Needham, and he'll flick it and over the end line. After a little bit of a flurry middle of the first half, Graham, it's settled down now to what we saw early in this game.
And it's still scoreless thanks to the goalkeeper at the top left of your screen, Scott McQuillan, who made 2 very good near post saves. One off Ritzy and one off Grant Needham.
Played behind Tilley. Now it's the Supra coming the other way. Hildersley. DeSantis, Albanus, Dolascat. Diot makes a run through the middle, doesn't take it that way, and plays it back for Harrington. Unofficially, 2 minutes to go in the first half. Kitchener and Montreal still scoreless. The long ball. Ferguson is back, and he'll nod it to McQuillan with Needham right there. Quickly back to Ferguson. Diot heads it down, looking for Aliaga. And Aliaga got the foot up, and the foul is called as Charavati went down. Drew Ferguson with 21 caps for Canada internationally puts the ball back into play. Looking for Munson, and Munson again, quickly double team. Dolascat is there, so is Ritzy. Albanus heads it away for Kutsukos. Ferguson clears it right back. Onside, skipping through. Oh, and Diot. Now the offside flag goes up by Johnny Jerome.
I don't think that could possibly have been offside. The only thing that could have been is foot up again. If he wanted to put his flag up for offside, he should have put it up the first time. Certainly not the second time. It had to be foot up.
Ritzy, Pence, Munson, little give and go. Gilfillan makes the run on the left side, and the ball, they just couldn't get it through as Albanus was there to stop the pass. Oh, and now the referee, Luis Pulgar, making sure the Supra take the spot. Supra wanting to take a little quick kick and get it back into play, but he wouldn't allow that. Kutsukos. Head for Grant Needham. Gilfiller nodding it upfield. Koutsoukos is there for Montreal. Right side for Safrani. Can he get it across? He does. Maybe one last chance. And Woody Bailey is there as Needham was brought down. Hildersley. And there is the whistle from the referee, Mr. Luis Pulgar. And the two teams will head to the dressing room scoreless after 45 minutes.
And scoreless is just about a fair result. 2-3 chances for the Kitchener Kickers, 1 for the Montreal Supra. And the goalkeepers have got clean sheets. Hopefully we can get some goals in the second half, but right now it's no score.
Coming up at halftime from Centre Claude Robillard, we'll be talking with the Kickers head coach, general manager, and defender, Drew Ferguson. We'll look at the Supra coach, Eddie Fermani, and we'll have your Vida halftime highlights. It's scoreless. The Molson CSL match of the day from Montreal. At halftime here at Centre Claude Robillard, Montreal, the Supra and the Kickers of Kitchener. Well, it is one thing to be the player and one thing to be a coach, and it's one thing to be the general manager. It's quite another if you're all three, and that's what Drew Ferguson is with the Kickers. You know, you had this same kind of job a year ago in Ottawa, and it ended, I think, after 5 games. You said, I'll never do it again, but here you are.
Yeah, it's I thought I'd never do it again, Vic, but obviously it was a job that I felt like I took but didn't finish, so another opportunity's come up, and I'm going to try to finish off the year with this one.
Now, it can't be easy to do all 3 jobs, can it?
No, it's very hard, and it's cutting into my golf games, actually. It's, you know, I'm working 12, 14 hours a day, but I'm enjoying it. It keeps me out of trouble. It's a big challenge, and it's good to see a lot of hard work turn out to the good when you see some young kids that we've got out here playing so well.
The team did very well a year ago, making the playoffs, first year of expansion. Hadn't been done before, then knocking off Toronto in the first round of the playoffs. Those are some pretty heady goals to achieve again this year.
Yeah, it is, but you know, actually, we are a brand new franchise again. We have new ownership taken over. We've changed a lot of personnel in the squad, including players. So it's I'm treating this season as a brand new franchise, us and Nova Scotia, and we'll see how we compare.
Yeah, I think on paper, with due respect, it's going to be you, Winnipeg, and some people suggest Nova Scotia fighting for that final 6th playoff spot.
Yeah, I think on paper it's that way. You know, we'll try to prove it wrong. In Ottawa, I took over a very young team, but that team didn't have much experience at any levels, and here I've got a very young team, but I have Olympic team players that have been training with Tony Waiters and Derek Quasser over the last few years, so they're young, but they do have quality experience, and that's making a difference.
Drew, thank you very much. We wish you the best of luck the rest of the way tonight, the second half, and the rest of the season.
Thanks, Vic.
Drew Ferguson, the head coach, the defender, starting defender and general manager of this Kitchener Kicker side. He really does it all. When we come back, we will look at the Supra head coach, Eddie Fermani, and what a story it is. And the Montreal Supra. The Supra now guided by Eddie Fermani, and it was quite the story getting him here to Montreal.
Faster than that, faster. There we are. How can you stay up on your feet? Come on, let's go. Watch it.
The face very familiar to Montreal soccer fans. However, Eddie Fermani had a long coaching legacy before he returned to Montreal in January. South African by birth, he crossed the Atlantic in the mid-70s. In 1975, he led the Tampa Bay Rowdies to a North American Soccer League championship and was named Coach of the Year in the NASL in '76. In 1977, he became coach of the legendary Cosmos in New York with names such as Beckenbauer, Quinalha, and the incomparable Pele.
It was Pele's last year when I went from Tampa Bay Rowdies to New York Cosmos, and he retired at the end of that season. We won the championship, and then he retired. Really, it was a perfect relationship between the coach and, to me, one of the greatest players that ever put on a pair of soccer boots, and not only greatest player, but I would say he's one of the nicest human beings I've ever come across.
Fermani won 2 North American Soccer League titles with the Cosmos. Then 6 years later, when the NASL folded, he moved to Kuwait to coach a club team. But that all changed very dramatically last summer.
I was sleeping and I heard a whole lot of banging on the outside, like bombs and rockets and what have you. And I'm only just 1 kilometer away from the Amiens Palace. And I looked out of my window and I saw all these rockets come and the bombs exploding and the armored cars coming up the road. In fact, I thought it was a coup at first. I was not allowed to move out of my apartment. We had to stay in the apartment and just stay there and not be seen and not be heard or anything else. So I did have enough provisions for myself to take care of myself during that period. I must say, you know, looking back on it now, and at times it's, I still feel the pressure of it and the disturbances that, you know, we went through. Psychologically, it was very disturbing for everybody.
Fermani was held for 4 months in Baghdad before finally being permitted to leave Iraq.
After my ordeal in Kuwait and Baghdad, I felt I wanted to be close to something that I liked, and I wanted to be near some people that liked me, you know. And the Montreal situation came about, and I felt very comfortable.
And I think it's fair to say the Montreal people, the Supra in particular, very comfortable with him. He was telling me that he got rid quickly of anything with regards to the U.S., his passport, U.S. passport, his British passport. All he kept was his Italian passport.
And yet I spoke to him before the game, and he said, despite what happened over there, it's a lovely country, they love the soccer, he would go back.
No, I don't doubt that, and he may just. He has a 1-year contract with the Supra, and he says after the season, I'll take a look and see what happens. He does have quite an impressive record, right from his playing days in Italy, right through his coaching record.
He certainly does. 150 goals in Italian First Division, 3 NASL titles, NASL Coach of the Year. 1981 he coached the Montreal Monique. 1983 he was back in Montreal. And I tell you what, a super nice guy, knows the game back to front, and the players will love playing for him.
Yeah, well, it'll be interesting to see. He has quite the task ahead, though. Roy Wiggamanson did a wonderful job with the Supra a year ago, and his first goal, I guess, is to get him into the playoffs, but I don't know if the fans will put up with that. They need much more than that here in Montreal.
Oh, I think you're right, but he knows what the fans expect in Montreal. That's one of the reasons he came back. He's accustomed to it. He knows what they expect, and I think he'll give it to them.
All right, the halftime highlights. When we come back to Montreal and the Centre Claude Robillard, we are scoreless. The Molson CSL match of the day.
Around the world, there is a particular ritual. For a few hours each day, all activity comes to a halt. But till now, only a privileged few have known why. It's all part of the score ritual. Savoring a perfectly slim bar of crisp, buttery toffee dipped in rich milk chocolate. Maybe you should discover the score ritual, too.
Gillette presents Sensor, the system, the technology that will change the way you shave forever. Sensor, twin blades set on springs to read your face and respond. Independent suspension to sense and adjust to every curve of your face. No other razor comes close. Gillette Sensor, for the best shave a man can get.
Magic wagon for 1991. The evolution of the minivan is now complete. Chrysler, all you have to do is drive one. There are differing opinions on what it means to be Canadian. But the classic definition is as follows. To be Canadian, you must be clean, cold and crisp. Because this is what beer's all about.
Now it's time for the halftime highlights, brought to you by Vita.
In a world where businesses come and go, isn't it reassuring that meter copiers just go and go? Meter, or we make a great copiers.
Well, not many chances in our meter highlights, but Hildersley does ever so well to get a far post cross in here. Beautiful ball. Grant Needham has taken up a good position, heads it well, but McQuillan stones him, cuts out the angle brilliantly. At the other end, where the other striker, Scott Munson, shows his paces, mishits this ball, but wrong foot Pat Harrington, and the Montreal Supra goalkeeper ever so grateful to see this ball bobble wide. The other young Olympic striker, Grant Needham, has another great chance. Watch him play a beautiful 1-2. The ball sits beautifully for him, cracks it well. Scott McQuillan cuts out the angle, makes it look tough. Great action. Our meter highlights.
Those are your meter highlights. Halftime, still scoreless, Kitchener and Montreal.
A meter fax works just like a meter copier. Put the original in one side, and seconds later, an exact copy comes out the other side. Meter, or we make a great copiers, even long-distance ones.
The Major League Baseball All-Star Game is coming, and Coca-Cola Classic wants you in on the action. July 5th through 9th, the Metro Toronto Convention Center will host the Coca-Cola All-Star Fan Fest, an indoor baseball theme park for the whole family. There'll be card trading and free autographs. Tour the Cooperstown Hall of Fame. Test your fastball in a radar bullpen or swing against star pitchers in an interactive batting cage. Plus, enjoy real ballpark food. Tickets $12 for adults, $8 for juniors and seniors at Ticketmaster. 872-11.
Skies early. It has started to clear here in Montreal as the referee, Mr. Luis Pulgar, makes his way to the center of the field to begin the second half. The Montreal Supra and the Kitchener Kickers. Just one other game in the CSL on this Wednesday, and that is in Vancouver. It'll be getting underway in a couple of hours, and it should be a very good game with the Toronto Blizzard at Swangard Stadium to play the Vancouver 86ers. That game coming up just a little later on this CSL Wednesday. The Supra in white with blue shorts and white stockings. The visiting Kitchener Kickers in their road green and yellow. I had said to Drew Ferguson before, I said, you know, not many people are expecting you to do very much. He says, hey, not many people expected the Minnesota North Stars to do very well in the NHL, and their colors were green and gold as well, so he's hoping.
Yes, indeed. Trouble is the Penguins were yellow and black, and that's the Hamilton Steelers colors, and they've done it every year.
That's true.
But who knows? This is a funny game. 11 players aside. Ball takes a funny turn here and there. Anything can happen. I just wish it would take a funny turn into the net so we can get a goal in this game and liven it up. Lots of effort, lots of challenging, lots of good play, but we need a goal. That's what the game's all about.
One substitution to begin the second half. Cameron Walker is in for Frank Aliaga, the 26-year-old, in his 5th CSL season. Last year scored 1 goal in 20 games. Cameron Walker up front for the Montreal Supra to work along with Grant Needham.
Not a bad move by Eddie Fermani. Cameron Walker, a very aggressive player, not afraid to go forward, not afraid to come back and do his share in midfield either. So good substitution. Frank Aliaga wasn't really performing in support of Grant Needham up front, so Eddie Fermani made his move after 45 minutes.
And quickly the Supra will get a corner to begin this second half. Woody Bailey, the Supra bench. The gentleman pointing, Andre Gagnon, one of the assistant coaches of Supra, former player, retired a couple of years ago. Cleared away by the Kickers, who are under pressure quickly. Hildersley DeSantis sent back to Hildersley. Now this is Walker. Needham is on the left. Goes to the middle for Ritchie. Safrane clears it in. Oh, and just by Cameron Walker. And you thought maybe if he would have just outstretched that left leg of his, he could have directed it in. But just really too fast, too far.
And it would have been frustrating because once again, Mr. Johnny Jerome on the far side had his flag up. Have a sore right arm, Mr. Jerome. Cameron Walker. I like Cameron Walker. Good, honest player. Lots of effort. Very skillful. I was surprised when he didn't start, quite truthfully, this evening. I thought he would have started for sure.
Doliscat will take the throw in for Montreal. Looking upfield for Needham. Doesn't get there. Pence trying to break his way through. This is Gilfillan. Pence, Munson, and the offside flag this time from the near side linesman, Eric Roy, who hasn't been nearly as busy as Mr. Jerome on the far side.
Nobody's been as busy as Mr. Jerome on the far side, but that was a good decision. Brett Pence had just gone in a little too quickly. The only thing that would have saved him is had the ball been cut backwards. Unfortunately, it was played forward, so he was offside for sure.
Kutsukos for Safrani, doesn't get there. Cameron Walker makes the run up the outside. They go into the middle looking for Needham. Doliscat can't control. Now it's Marco Rizzi for Montreal. Has Kutsukos on his left. He'll take it up the middle for Grant Needham. One touch, dances across the top of the area for Nick DeSantis. Safrani will work it to the outside. Now gets it in front. Over the head of Walker. Marco Rizzi has moved up. Doliscat as the Supra begin to press. Looking for the opening goal of this game. Just underway. Second half here at Centre Claude Robillard. And then the Supra give it away.
Wasn't a bad intention by Marco Rizzi, who tried to play at the feet. Unfortunately, Grant Needham had come a little too far forward, and it was chipped over his head instead of played at the feet as Marco Rizzi meant to do. But once again, we see the fullbacks for Montreal not afraid to go forward. Marco Rizzi there playing as an inside forward rather than a fullback.
Into touch, it'll go as a throw in for Montreal.
Take that. I think that'll be a free kick, not a throw.
No, he's saying move back.
No, he's going to give a free kick. That was a foul.
Rizzi for Kutsukos. Mackey. DeSantis plays dummy to Doliscat. Through the middle, but Ferguson was there to clear it away.
Kitchener Kickers doing a good job of lining up a la hockey along the blue line, along the edge of the box, forcing the Supra to play across the face of the box, not allowing them to penetrate.
Hildersley trying a left-footed cross, and he couldn't get it around Brad Choravati. One of the nicest players, nicest people you'll ever meet in the game, and that is Drew Ferguson. And he has really bitten off an awful lot this year as player, coach, GM, but he loves it, loves the challenge.
You have the all-important statement, though. It's ruining my golf. Drew used to love to golf every day in the close season. And I tell you, he won't enjoy not being able to golf when the weather's up about 85 degrees.
Choravati gives it away. Tilly can't clear. Now it's Munson. Dion with the tackle. He'll go wide to the left. This is Peter Gilfillan. Pence, Tilly are in the middle. Gilfillan does get across. Tilly flicks it. Harrington comes out to punch it away. Skips behind Hildersley. Now this is Tasso Kutsukos. Bailey to watch him. For Hildersley. The grab by Brad Choravati. And now it's Needham. And the foul is on The kickers as they put the grab on Grant Needham, and it'll be a free kick.
Well, the last time they got a free kick from there, Ronnie Hildersley made a rather pathetic effort. Let's see if Tasso Koutsoukis. My money's on Tasso Koutsoukis to hit this one.
The wall protects one half of the net, and then McQuillan is given the job of protecting the other half. Yeah. Koutsoukis is there, and Koutsoukis will take it off the wall again.
Same result.
DeSantis.
Two very bad free kicks, and I'm sure Eddie Fermani will not like that. Tasso Koutsoukis trying to make an excuse. But when you practice all week free kicks and then just drive it right into the wall, as Hildersley and Koutsoukis have done, there you can see the expression on Eddie's face. He does not like that at all.
Nick DeSantis was saying before the game, Graham, that the difference, or one of the differences he notices between Fermani and Roy Wiggamanson of a year ago, that Fermani expects you at this level to know a lot, expects you to perform at a certain level. And sometimes you need instruction, and that's where Wiggamanson was maybe more that kind of coach, would come out and direct you and give you some coaching, whereas Fermani saying, hey, you should be able to do this at this level.
No, and I tend to think that coaches in the Canadian Soccer League need to be able to teach. They have young players who need to be talked to, they need to be taught. Eddie Fermani certainly has been around, and he expects that a professional soccer player doesn't have to be taught. But this is a developing league, and I think that the coaches in the Canadian Soccer League have to do a lot of coaching and a lot of encouraging with the younger players.
Charavati for one of the best young players. This is Bunsen, left foot, gets it across. Owen just headed away as Nick Albanis got up, because moving up was Peter Gilfillan, if it had ever gotten through. Safrani into the middle for Tasso Koutsoukis. Midfield comes to the left wing for Marco Rizzi. Hildersley is on his left. He'll go up the middle for Needham. This is Walker. Walker can't get by Ferguson, and then Drew clears it downfield for Munson. Patrick Diot is back as they go one-on-one. Diot wins the ball and wins it nicely. Plays it back for Harrington. Doluskat. Up the wing for Needham. Gets away from Ferguson for Walker. A little give and go through the middle. Hildersley. Oh, and they get crossed up as both Needham and Hildersley were going for the same space, and they took the play away from each other.
And Ian Carter, number 3 for the Kitchener Kickers, just got a foot in time. But the game's starting to open up a little bit. It was very, very tight in the first half. The signs of a goal coming look a little brighter, Victor.
I'll hold you to it.
No, don't hold me to it. I just said they look brighter. I didn't guarantee it.
Oh, okay.
I think that Drew Ferguson right now is happy with the result. I'm sure that Eddie Fermani is not. Nothing at this stage in the game with a home side is not a good result. But for Drew Ferguson, I'm sure he's saying, let's keep it nice and tight at the back. If we can sneak one at the other end, fine.
Well, on the road, Drew Ferguson will take the point with the tie. And as Graham suggests, at home in front of the fans looking for some offense, and with 3 points on the line now for the win, not satisfying enough for the Supra and Eddie Fermani. Harrington. Pence up to challenge, and Harrington takes a little bit of a chance, spots the opening up for Walker, and now this is DeSantis at midfield.
If there's any young goalkeepers watching, don't try that at home, folks. Not that close to a forward. It's okay if you get tons of time to hit it from feet like that, but get it into your hands. That's what you're allowed to use, your hands as a goalkeeper. Take advantage of it.
DeSantis lays it back. Koutsoukis nicely through the middle. This is Cameron Walker, one-on-one with Ferguson. Walker! Oh!
Saved it.
Yes.
Saved it.
McQuillan got a hand up to deflect it over the bar.
That was bound for the top corner. Cameron Walker did ever so well to create space. Very tight. Watch Drew Ferguson jockey him. There's the space, there's the hit, there's the push over the crossbar. Great goalkeeping. Scott McQuillan with 3 saves to his credit already in this game. He's the reason it's scoreless.
And he used every inch of his 6 foot 7 inches to get a hand on that.
What's that in centimeters?
Safrani will take this corner for Montreal. Over Doliscat. Hildersley cuts it back. Far post going up, flicked away. Now it's Gilfillan clearing for Kitchener. Albanis had moved up. Charavati for Ferguson. Walker up to pressure hit. McQuillan for Ian Carter. Harrington with a throw, long throw to midfield. And the foul is called on Woody Bailey. Free kick to the Montreal Supra. Oh, and now Woody Bailey looks like he's going into the book, and he will, as Mr. Luis Pulgar pulls out the yellow card on Woody Bailey. Looked innocent enough, Graham. What do you think he called?
I have to be honest, I wasn't looking at it.
It was off the play. The ball was thrown out by Harrington, so maybe he pushed him in the back. Maybe he got a spike up. But he goes into the book, the first booking in this game. Oh, cleared away as Walker was through. Carter got there, and now the foul is called on Marco Rizzi, and it will go back the other way for Kitchener. Drew Ferguson will put the ball back into play. Headed away by Rizzi. Hence. Ferguson, midfield. Looking for some help. Lays it back for Jason Davis. And now Davis will go all the way back to McQuillan. Upfield and offside, the near side linesman Eric Roy. Doliscat looking for Needham. He's there. Hildersley, and it's 1-0 for the Montreal Supra, and he snuck behind the defenders for the kickers.
He anticipated the mistake. The ball bounced beautifully for him, and from that expression you couldn't tell if he'd scored or not from Eddie Permani, but Ronnie Hildersley certainly deserved it. He's got a beautiful left foot. He shows he can hit them with both feet. Watch this ball. Doliscat knocks it high into the box. The defenders can't clear it. Now watch Hildersley wait and expect the mistake. Hooks it over his shoulder past Scott McQuillan. Great goal. There's the finish. No chance at all for Scott McQuillan. And Ronnie Hildersley has given the Montreal Supra a 1-0 lead.
For Ronnie Hildersley, his first goal of the season, and it comes in the 60th minute. It really did come out of nowhere.
And it's the first time he's used his right foot this evening. He's got a beautiful left foot. Tell you what, nothing wrong with the right one either, is there? A good player will anticipate the mistake. He wasn't going to go and challenge. He waited for the mistake to happen. Got a nice bounce. Got a very kind bounce, but certainly used it to his advantage.
Ian Carter Clears it to midfield. Ritzi, Koutsoukas as it starts to open up in the middle now. Koutsoukas. Needham makes the run on the right, and that's where it goes. Oh! Grant Needham again with a wonderful one touch. Went for the far post and just put it wide. And McQuillan may have gotten there just to push it.
Beautiful run to create the space. Hits it first time, and that's another excellent save by big Scott McQuillan. Great goalkeeping, Scott.
Sakhrani will put it in the corner spot. Gets it up. Out comes McQuillan to punch it away. Hildersley again.
And that was an easier one than the one he scored from, and he knows it. He knows he should have got it on target. Tried to bust the net instead of just getting it between the pipes. Good little player. They're going to love him here in Montreal. Aggressive, fights for the ball, challenges for the ball.
Goes as a kicker's throw-in on the far side. Carter. Head for Tilly. Into Munson. Pence is there. Carter. Hildersley will play it back for Harrington. Harrington now taking his time with Montreal leading 1-0. Throws it to the left wing for Ritzi. Through the middle, looking for Cameron Walker. Jason Devos wins the ball in the air, wins the foul as well, and now Ferguson saying to the referee that he wants to play the ball up and play it quickly, and Mr. Pulgar isn't giving him that chance.
Mr. Pulgar hasn't done that all night. He's insisted that the ball be dead, he's insisted that the ball be right on the spot, and he's insisted that no one's allowed to take the ball quickly. Which sort of slows the game down and prevents it developing a nice flow.
Brent Pence laid it behind Tilly. This is Woody Bailey for Peter Mackey. Oh, Peter Mackey. He saw Scott Munson to his left, and then instead of pushing it that way, he pushed it right at Harrington.
The final touch just hasn't been there for the Kitchener Kickers this evening. They've built up well at times, but that final touch just has been lacking. Look out.
Munson too far, and Harrington no problem to play it for Ritzi. Bailey up to cover him. Ritzi, Koutsoukas. Oh, brought down heavily by Peter Mackey. The 24-year-old, couple of goals a year ago. A 1989 All-Canadian when he played for Laurier University. Peter Mackey. Walker for Koutsoukas, and back to Walker. Hildersley overlapping. Walker back for Koutsoukas. Now he tries to put it through the middle. Headed away. Walker. Hildersley, the goal scorer, will take it deep into the left corner. Cheravati marking him. Hildersley gets it across. Oh, and up goes Carter to head it away. Doliscat moves up. Hildersley, top of the box. Hildersley tries to with the right foot and can't get it through. DeSantis back for Marco Ritzi, still onside. And now it's all Supra. Hildersley overlapping, plays it to the far post. Up goes Doliscat. McQuillan is out.
Foul on the goalkeeper again.
And McQuillan will drop to his knees after being under all kinds of pressure. And it has been a busy time for the Kickers and their keeper, Scotty McQuillan.
Nice left foot cross by Hildersley again. Little deflection, good challenge, but Doliscat comes in and wraps Scott McQuillan really hard. Good goalkeeping. This young kid's had a tremendous game and really doesn't deserve to be down 1-0, although I must say Ronnie Hildersley's goal was a beauty.
Ferguson will play it back for McQuillan. There you see the time remaining, unofficially, in the second half. 1-0, Montreal leading Kitchener. This Molson CSL match of the day. Munson, Woody Bailey, looking for the give and go. This is Walker, and it's been a key substitution for Eddie Fermanti in the Supra. Long ball. He has Needham. Ferguson is there. Looks back into the middle. Kutsuko, so it was teed up for that right foot. 1-0 Montreal leading Kitchener. The Molson CSL match of the day. Welcome back. Vic Rowder along with Graham Leggett at Centre Claude Robillard. Sachrani for the Supra. Trying to get it by Carter. Montreal leading 1-0. The goal by Ronnie Hildersley at 60 minutes. Ritzy for Walker. Ritzy, oh boy. Drove it right at Scott McQuillan. Scott Munson can't get away. Double team, triple team, the entire game so far. Scott Munson for Kitchener. Sachrani, nice move to get away. Oh, then he just couldn't finish as he tried to slide it through for Grant Needham. Marco Ritzy at midfield. Hildersley left. Walker is in the middle on the right. Kutsukos makes a run deep left. Oh, Hildersley looking for the open space, and he is brought down, and it is Brad Chavati, who looks like he may go into the book for leaving his foot in a little late. The 20-year-old rookie out of Laurier University.
Well, I think that booking was mainly due to the skill of Ronnie Hildersley, not to the viciousness of Brad Cheravati. Tackle was late. It wasn't malicious. It was just mistimed and really caused by Ronnie Hildersley, who's tying the young fullback in knots right now. Brad Cheravati doesn't know whether Hildersley is going inside or out. Looks very much as if number 17, Brad Cheravati, is going to come off, and Orville Reynolds, number 8, is going to come in.
The 26-year-old Orville Reynolds in his second CSL season. Injured much of last year. Orville Reynolds, the first substitution for the Kickers. Hildersley plays it in front, and it's headed away for a corner by Drew Ferguson.
Drew's dilemma now is how to get that goal back without leaving themselves a little open at the back. The more you press forward for that equalizer, it tends to give more chances to the Montreal Supra.
Hildersley will take this corner.
He'll have to take it from inside the triangle.
It's Needham at the near post. Walker moves up as they play it to the top of the box instead. Dion couldn't get it through. And now it's Munson at midfield, and as all game, Rudy Doliscat is right there. Scott Munson turns around and he sees number 3 every step of the way. Orville Reynolds lays it off. Carter has moved up as the Kickers now pressing. Ambitious chance and try for Tilley. Hildersley back for a quick word with Harrington as we look.
Ladies and gentlemen, essentially the sport is the official booking of Montreal Supra players and is located at 6850.
Orville Reynolds played at George Washington University. Ian Carter. Tilley plays it forward, looking for Reynolds down that left wing. The 26-year-old Orville Reynolds, Bachelor of Journalism at George Washington, and he hopes to study journalism once his soccer career is finished.
And what Drew Ferguson has done is he's pushed Orville Reynolds up into the front to make 3 strikers, and he's pulled Peter Gilfillan back to right back to look after Ronnie Hildersley. Peter Gilfillan, of course, very comfortable at fullback.
Peter Mackey wins the ball from Koutsoukos at midfield. Now up that left wing looking for Ian Carter, and it was just too far. It'll go as a Supra throw-in. Rudy Doliscat is there and will put the ball back into play for Montreal. They lead 1-0.
Yeah.
Sachrani stretching out that hamstring and quickly back on his feet. Koutsoukos looking for Hildersley, top of the area. This is Ritzy at midfield for Montreal. Cameron Walker for Hildersley, who'll move to the outside, and Ferguson very neatly got across to push the ball into touch.
And Ronnie Hildersley has to be one of our candidates for our Molson Canadian Player of the Game. Hope you'll join in with us, folks. See who you pick. Got to be Scott McQuillan or Ronnie Hildersley. Let's see how the game develops.
Mackey clears it upfield for Woody Bailey. Oops. For Orville Reynolds, who is brought down by Rudy Doliscat.
Now, I think that may justify a little yellow card.
And hands on the hips. Mr. Pulgar goes to his pocket, and he will pull out the yellow card for Rudy Doliscat for one of the few times in the game Doliscat actually caught. And I think he may have been surprised by the speed of Orville Reynolds.
Well, he's very awkward at time, Rudy Doliscat. This happens so often when a player hesitates and tries to cut behind another player, just clips his heels. Referee's way back, it looks worse than it is. There, we'll give it to Rudy Doliscat this time. So we're all even, Rudy.
This time the foul is on Woody Bailey. Upfield for the Supra, looking for Needham. Jason Devos was there to head it down, and offside.
Marco Ritzy in the left back position just moved up in time.
Orville Reynolds caught for being offside. To midfield, Hassel Koutsoukos with Peter Mackey on his heels. And it's interesting, somebody from behind yelling about advantage.
Exactly. And I think he's justified. One of the fans said, play the advantage. Mr. Pulgar has not allowed the advantage once this evening, and there's been about half a dozen opportunities for the team in possession to keep going. He insists on the ball being blown dead, play being stopped, and the free kick being taken.
And you're right, because it does take the flow away. The kickers, almost said the spirit, but it became the skickers.
It's tough to say kickers when you've been accustomed all last season to saying Kitchener Spirit, but new owners, new name, and good luck to them.
Kickers getting ready to make another substitution. They've made one already here in this second. Both teams have made one. This is Peter Mackey looking for Munson. And Mikael Banis right there to cut off that pass for Munson. Now upfield. Needham. And it'll go off Needham into touch. It'll go as a throw-in for Kitchener. Ian Carter. Let's go! Kutsukos, midfield. Into the middle for Cameron Walker. Oh, he was looking for Hildersley. Cut off by Woody Bailey. Then he'll go up wide right and too far for Orville Reynolds. One of them on the field. Drew Ferguson, the player head coach, and then Eddie Fermani, content to be on the bench.
And I don't think that Drew is speaking to Eddie Fermani. Eddie Fermani is trying to get a message across to his players, and I don't think anybody's looking at it. Montreal Supra seems to be ready to make a substitution, but Eddie Fermani can't make up his mind who to take off.
Ritzy for Walker and right back. Well, Ritzy does a good job to keep the ball in play. Now it's Mackey at midfield.
Oh, that was almost a great ball by Drew Ferguson.
Doliscat will take the throw in. Tilley at midfield for Kitchener. For Orville Reynolds. Oh, and Harrington getting caught out. Quickly turned and kicked it out of play.
Got enough experience to know not to be fancy in that situation. Got caught out a little bit. Just knocked it into touch. Give him time to regroup.
Safrani gives it away. Carter played it up for Gidman, who is now in the game for Kitchener, replacing Woody Bailey. Here's a chance. Grant Needham looking for some help. Lays it back. Kutsukos. Oh, and then he just rattled it off of Ferguson.
Good covering by Ferguson, and Grant Needham really, had he kept going forward, would have had a great opportunity to shoot. But I think he remembers how well Scott McQuillan cut down the angles in the first half, decided to lay it off, and the shot was blocked.
Safrani gets it across and over the head of Cameron Walker. DeSantis moves up. Mackey will clear it. He has Munson at midfield. Now Munson lays it off for Tilley on the left wing, and then too far. The return for Munson, and Doliscat was there.
I must say, number 9, Scott Munson, for the Kitchener Kickers, has controlled the ball and laid the ball off beautifully, but really has had very little support up front. It's been 1 against 2 or 1 against 3 all evening, but boy, he showed great promise. His control has been immaculate. He's come forward for the ball. He's made some great runs. What a future he's got in the game.
Well, let's remember, too, that Munson, you already pointed out that Grant Needham is one of the people he plays with up front for the Canadian Olympic team, but the other one is Paul Pescasolido of Toronto. 3 legitimate goal scorers, and when you try to cover all 3, or if you double team one, you leave somebody uncovered, and in many cases they double team Pescasolido, and that leaves Munson open, and he's taken advantage of the chances with the Olympic team in qualifying for Barcelona.
They complement each other very, very well.
Flicked forward by Reynolds, and Nick Albanis will play it back, and right there was Munson.
Will be next Wednesday night, June the 12th. Please note that the game will start at 7 p.m. When your Montreal Supra will host
Eddie Fermani with some last words for a substitution, as Mauro Biello is getting ready to come into the game, or Otmani Ibrire will come into the game for the Supra. Hildersley at midfield. Walker. Hildersley makes the run if he can get the ball back, but Walker getting a little stumbly. Midfield, Kutsukos, a little give and go. Gidman gets in the middle. This is Tilley for Kitchener. Looking for somebody to make a run down the right, and finally Gilfillan comes up to fill the space for Munson. And back, Gilfillan, Munson work it very nicely. Can they get it through the middle? They do, and then it's Albanis headed away, and offside, the call from Mr. Eric Roy as Brett Pence is offside. Othman Ibrir, a 27-year-old. Good story about Ibrir. As Koutsoukas will come out of the game. Tasso Koutsoukas.
Had a good game, Koutsoukas. Used the ball well, filled in. He doesn't look fit. I think he's put on about 20 pounds since last year, but certainly very, very intelligent. I think he deserves a rest now and bring Ibrir on.
Ibrir was a walk-on to this side. Safrane. Tasso Koutsoukas.
Good game, Tasso. Well done. Put the sweatshirt on, relax. You're up 1-0. You've done your part.
Gidman has Munson. Gives it back. Gidman, can he get it across? He does. Far post. Will it be headed back? It is, but there is Harrington. That's MVP goaltending by Pat Harrington. Walker, Needham makes the run. Now they'll play it between Ferguson and Carter, and then Carter hustles and plays it back for McQuillan to Ferguson. Jason Devos for Ferguson, and upfield and too far. Othman Ibrir, 27-year-old. He's from Algeria originally. He's been studying his Masters of Phys Ed at Ottawa University. Called up the Supra, said, look, I played for the Algerian Army team. They said, well, come on down. We'll take a look at you. As Gidman has a chance. Tilly makes a run to the middle. Oh, and it's flicked away. Orville Reynolds is up. Play on, says the referee. Gilfillan will lay it all the way back for Devos. Ibrir went for the tryout, and they signed it. 5 minutes remaining, 1-0. Montreal leading, Kitchener. Albanis. Into touch on the far side.
Mesdames, Mesdemoiselles, Messieurs, la série de la fin du match de ce soir, alors que nous allons annoncer des joueurs offensifs et défensifs.
For Munson. Didn't stand a chance as Patrick Diot brought him down, and now Munson and Diot battle again, and the foul is on Munson. And Scott Munson is going to become a little bit more frustrated as the game goes on, and Pierre-Richard Thomas gets ready to come into the game. And it looks like they're going to bring out Ronnie Hildersley, who is the goal scorer in this game at the 60-minute mark. And the substitution will take place now as Hildersley will come out of the game for number 17, Pierre-Richard Thomas. Strong game for the Scottish import. Thomas, a 25-year-old, scored 2 goals in 13 games last year. DeSantis gives it away. Gidman at midfield for Kitchener. This is Thomas. Ritzy. just inside the line. Little give and go with Ibrier. Didn't work. Tilly to midfield, and Ibrier will win it back for Cameron Walker, who stumbles, but Ritchie is there for Montreal. For Needham to Walker. Right through the middle. Oh, it was Needham, one-time volley. And he's had a couple of chances, this time just wide of the near post.
Great effort.
Less than 5 minutes to go. It's 1-0 Montreal. The CSL match of the day.
Number 1 draft choice.
Sport isn't greed. Sport isn't
Great effort by young Grant Needham. Spins, turns, and just misses by inches. Great effort.
It remains 1-0 Montreal. Needham looking to the outside for Walker, but Carter was there. Sachrani lays it back. For Ibrier, in for Walker. Needham is in the middle, so is Thomas, and it'll go as keeper's ball. Boy, I tell you what, this lineup that Montreal's got out now with Ibrier, who's speedy, Thomas, they're a good little side, faster side than what started, I think, Graham.
They seem to be a little faster now. And it's nice, I'm sure, for Eddie Fermanti to have that talent to bring on late in the game when legs are getting just a little bit weary. But I must say that the Kitchener Kickers, I keep saying spirit because they've got that spirit. They've not lost the spirit. They're now named Kickers, but they've still got the spirit. And they've showed it again tonight. 1-0, they've not been embarrassed. They've been in the game, mostly due to Scott McQuillan, I will admit, but it's not over yet. Although I dare say it will be soon. I do feel that Montreal Supra, with the experience of Eddie Fermanti on the bench, will not give up a goal with two minutes to go.
Eddie Fermanti is off the bench now, urging the players to move up and playing the offside trap. If the kickers want to stay back, let them stay back, but we'll move up, and you can't get the ball if they're offside. Tilly now for the kickers. One last chance, possibly. And it'll go as a corner for Manny off the bench.
What Eddie Fermanti is saying is, why keep Grant Needham up? Get everybody back in the box. We've got a minute and a half to go. I don't want to see a white shirt not challenging for the ball, not picking up a green shirt. No good having Grant Needham standing up on the halfway line. Bring everybody back.
Drew Ferguson looking for one last chance. Sure.
Must be disappointed. This has been a good performance by the Kitchener Kickers. And certainly, as usual, as always, Drew Ferguson has played his part.
One mistake, and Hildersley took advantage. DeSantis. Now, Sachrani moves up. Sachrani. Oh! Cameron Walker tried to cut it out of the air and scissored it by the far post.
He's been the spark plug. Since Cameron Walker came on, this has been a different Supra side. They got so many white shirts here, they don't know what to do with it. Look at them queue up. Cameron Walker tries an impossible over-the-head kick. Had that gone in, it's the goal of the century.
And there's the whistle from Mr. Luis Pulgar, and it is a 1-0 win for the Montreal Supra.
Disappointing result for the Kitchener Kickers, but on the balance of play in the second half, Montreal Supra deserved the 3 points.
And Pat Harrington picks up the shutout. Drew Ferguson will head back to Kitchener, still winless in 4 games, while Fermanti and the Supra pick up their 2nd win of this still young Canadian Soccer League season. We'll return with more from Centre Claude Robillard on this Molson CSL Match of the Day. TSN Turning Point, brought to you by Apple Auto Glass.
The Apple Auto Glass Turning Point came 14 minutes into the second half. It's scoreless. Then from a high ball pumped into the box, it breaks kindly for Ronnie Hildersley. Just watch as he hooks a beauty past McQuillan. Supra lead 1-0. They go on to win by that goal. Hildersley's goal, the Apple Auto Glass Turning Point.
A cash donation will be made to amateur sport on behalf of TSN and Apple Auto Glass for the development of amateur coaches in Canada. Apple Auto Glass, saving you money on stone-chipped windshield repairs. The Montreal Supra win their second of the season. The Kitchener Kickers still looking for their first win.
Player of the game is Ronnie Hildersley, who just edged out Scott McQuillan. Hildersley had a very impressive game, showed lots of skill and scored the all-important goal with a superb volley. Besides, he's Scottish. Ronnie Hildersley, our Molson Canadian player of the game.
That's not fair. A week from today, we'll be back here at Santa Clara VR as the Supra meet the North York Rockets. And note the start time is 7 p.m. Eastern Time. The Rockets, the Supra. Our next Molson CSL match of the day. The Montreal Supra win it 1-0 on a goal by Ronnie Hildersley at 60 minutes. 1-0 over the Kitchener Kickers. The Molson CSL match of the day is brought to you by Molson Canadian.
We are very anxious in seeing the party established. And
much of the credit for bringing the